All right, C major, no sharps or flats. We started with our root C. We applied our whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, major scale recipe, and we ended up with the C major scale. So what? What do we do with it? Let's make little abbreviations, little ways that we can talk about being in the key of C major without spelling out the entire scale. This is what I like to consider distilling naturally occurring chords from any major scale. If we start on the note C, the tonic, the one, the root, we don't have to use all of these notes. We're going to pick a note, skip a note, pick a note, skip a note, right? We're just going to like take every other note. So if we take C, E, G, and B, we end up with these notes. C, E, G, B. If you play these four notes in any order across any number of octaves, if you play 1,000,000 Bs and 1 G, 1 E, and 1 C, you are playing C major 7. It doesn't matter how you arrange them. It doesn't matter how many times you play one of these notes. If you play any assortment of these four notes, you are playing C major 7. We can notate it like this. It's going to be my notation. And we can also consider it our one chord in the key of C. It is the chord that occurs in C major when you start on the first scale note. Yeah, we can talk about it like that. The first note in the scale. There we go. The first scale interval. That was the term I'm looking for. All right. C major. It has a major third, which means that its third is 2 whole steps up from its tonic. It has a perfect fifth, and it has a major 7. Let's do the second scale degree, which is the note D. D, F, A, C. D, a whole step up from D is E, and a whole step up from E is F sharp, but we don't have an F sharp in the key of C. We have an F, which is a half step lower than F sharp, which means this is a minor third, which means that this is a minor chord construction. Also, it's 7, and the language here is freaky and sloppy and oftentimes doesn't make sense at first. My hope is that if I just kind of keep throwing it against the wall, eventually it'll stick and we'll all be talking the same way. We have a minor third and we have a lowered 7th, meaning that if we had constructed a major scale off of the note D, its 7th note naturally would be a C sharp, but we don't have a C sharp. We have a C natural because we're not in D major, we're in C major. We just started on the D that occurs in this key and constructed the chord that naturally happens. This has a flat third and a flat 7. So we call it D minor 7. The minor here, the little minus mark, means that it has a flat third. The 7 means that its 7th scale degree is lowered by half a step. We denote it because it's a minor chord with lowercase Roman numeral. Let's do our 3 chord, starting on E. E, G, B, D, okay? E, a whole step up from E is F sharp. A whole step up from F sharp is G sharp. We don't have a G sharp, we have a G because this is the scale that we're in. Again, minor third, perfect fifth. The D is a whole step below the tonic. The D is the 7. The tonic in this case is E, right? So you can see that we're using similar terms to talk about different things depending on what chord we're drawing attention to. In the 2 chord, the tonic is D. The 1 chord, the tonic is C. In the C major scale, the tonic is C. The 3 of C major, the tonic is E. It has a minor third, perfect fifth, and a flat 7. It means it has the exact same chord construction. The same intervals are at play in our 3 chord as were in our 2 chord. So E, minor 7, lowercase Roman numerals, small 3. Our 4, F, A, C, E. Do the same thing for this. Whole step up from F is G, whole step up from G is A. Great, we have an A, that means that this is a major chord. E is a half step below its tonic, in this case F. Remember, there's no note between E and F, which means this is a major 7. It's got a perfect 5th, major 3rd, major 7. So it has the same chord construction as our 1 chord. So we can call this F major 7, and we're back to big old Roman numerals. It's our 4 chord. Okay? Now, let's talk about this for a quick second. If you have an F major 7 floating out in space and you have absolutely no context of the chord before or after it, you don't know what key you're playing in, you don't even know if it's a song or not, it's just an F major 7, we can think about that as the 4 of C, or we can think that the F major 7 is the chord that's occurring off of the first scale degree of the F major scale. Okay? So without any context, we have options here already, you know. For instance, maybe our C major 7, if it was just a C major 7 floating out in space with absolutely no context or reference, it could be the 1 of C major, or it could be the 4 of some other key that we don't know what is. It would be a riddle for us to solve. Let's go to our 5, G. G, B, D, F. Whole step up from G is A, whole step up from A is B. This satisfies us as a major chord. D is a perfect 5 of G. F, the 7, is it a whole or a half step down from its tonic? It's a whole step. That makes this a G7 chord. It's referred to as the dominant of C. We only get, when we distill out the naturally occurring chords of any major scale, we only get one chord that looks like this, and it always occurs on the 5th scale degree. So some people call it the 5. Most people call it the 5. We could call it a G7. It's denoted as the 5. The 5 chord is always a dominant chord. The 5 chord is always a major chord with a flat 7. Okay? The 5 and the 1 share a very special relationship. Remember, I was just saying that the 1 chord, if it's hanging out in space, well, it could be the 1 chord of the key that the chord is, or it could be the 4 chord of some other key that we're not aware of quite yet. Now the 5 chord, there's only one 5 chord for the key of C. It always occurs off the 5th scale interval, which is G. G7 is always the dominant of C. G7's 1 is always C. Okay? It can be difficult if we were given just G7. Like, for instance, let's say we've got a B7. It wants to go home. What's the 1 of B7? If you have a quick method of figuring that out, I would love to hear it. Here's mine. The 5 chord and the 4 chord share an inverse relationship. 5 up is the same as 4 down, 4 up is the same as 5 down, which means that if we start on B and we apply our major scale recipe to B, and we look for its 4th scale degree, and then we drop it an octave, we will have found the 1 to our 5. Let me show you what I mean. We start on the note B. We apply our major scale recipe. Whole step up from B, C sharp. Whole step up from C sharp, D sharp. Half step up from D sharp is E. If that's our 1, if B is our 1, C sharp is its 2, D sharp is its 3, E is its 4. If we drop E down here and think that now we are in the key of E and we apply our major scale recipe, E up a whole step is F sharp up a whole step is G sharp up a half step is A up a whole step is B. If B is our 5, E is its 1. Okay? That's how I like to find nebulous ones. That's how, if I have a dominant chord, if I'm just fed a dominant chord, I can figure out what its 1 is by looking for its 4 and considering that our new 1. So how do we practice this, and why do we care? We care because the journey from the 5 to the 1, the Latins called it a cadence. It means to fall, and the 5 to 1 is considered a perfect cadence. If we're playing in the key of C, and we turn this into a C7, all of a sudden we're not playing in the key of C anymore, because what we've done is we've lowered our 7, which is the note B, which is a half step under our tonic. If our tonic is C, that's its octave. That note is its major 7. C on the bottom, B on the top. I'm going to fill it out with the 3 and the 5. This is the sound of a C major 7. Okay? This is all C major 7. There it is. If we turn it into C7, we're implying that we've lowered that 7th scale degree. It's now B flat. There's no B flat in the key of C. So we are playing the 5 chord of a different key entirely. Well, start on C. What's C's for? C, up a step to D, up a whole step to E, right? Up a half step to F. It's great. C7 automatically wants to go to F. And it relaxes once we hit F. That's home. C, C7, F. We know this sound pretty well, right? Home. C, C7 to get us home. So, that's the sound of what I'm talking about. Beep, deep, ba. Kind of relaxes once it hits that thing. How do we practice this in a reasonable way? There's a tool that we like to call the cycle of fourths. Let's start on C. You're going to be playing a C major. You just mess around with C major. You know, you can do this with an instrument or without an instrument. We're thinking in C major. No sharps or flats. C7, all of a sudden we have 1 flat. We've lowered our 7th scale degree to B flat. Now we are in a different key. What is that key? Well, we start on C, which is our new 5. We understand it to be a 5 chord of something. We're looking for its 1. If C is our 1, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 up is the same as 5 down, which means that this B flat is telling us, if we're playing a C7, C, E, G, B flat, it's telling us that we're already in the key of F. It wants to go to its 1, it wants to go back home, it wants to move to F, all right? So then you mess around with F. You're playing around with F, you're playing F major, you're thinking F major 7. Its 7 is going to be a half step below its tonic. You're going to be playing an F major with an E on the top, or somewhere in there. That's F major 7. You're going to lower that 7 to E flat. There's no E flat in the key of F. You're now playing the 5, you're playing F7, you're playing F as the 5 of something else. And what would it be the something else of? Well, find its 4. F, G, A, B flat. F7 will resolve to B flat major. And we just keep on rolling all the way through the wheel, right? We play B flat major, turn it into a B flat 7. It now wants to go home to E flat. So you're going to be playing E flat major, turn it into an E flat 7. You're going to lower the 7th scale degree. Originally, when you hit E flat major 7, you're going to be playing an E flat, a G, a B flat, and a D. Well, you're going to lower that D to D flat. You're now playing E flat 7. You're now playing E flat as a 5 chord, E flat 7 or 5-7. Change it to its dominant form. You're now in a different key. What is that key? If E flat is 5, what is its 1? A flat. I'd also like you to look for larger patterns. C if we skip this note, goes down a whole step to B flat. B, if we skip that note, goes down a whole step to A, oops, flat, right? We can imagine that whatever the next thing that happens here, A flat is going to go down another whole step, right? It goes C, down a whole step to B flat, down a whole step to A flat, down a whole step to G flat, right? Down a whole step to F flat, which is the exact same thing as saying E. We may as well just say E. It's going to go down a whole step to D, right? So I'm starting to complete the cycle here, just using this pattern that we've already set up. Let's go here. F, down a whole step to E flat, whole step to D flat, down a whole step to C flat, which is the exact same thing as B, right? B, down a whole step to A, down a whole step to G. Well, I'll be darned. There's all 12 keys of the Western musical scale. That's everything we've got. That's it. If you build major scales off of each of these degrees, you will have ended up with every possible major scale that we know of in the Western world, at least that we communicate with, that we tend to enjoy and compose with. Do this for yourself. Construct yourself a cycle of fourths. Play through it on your instrument the way I just said. Play C major 7, make it C7, go to its 1, which is going to be F. Play F major 7, turn it into an F dominant 7, go to its 1, okay, which is going to be B flat. Play a B flat major 7. And just keep going around and around and around and around. Look for patterns, look for ideas, look for sounds, especially, like really listen for how satisfying that shift is, because when we feel that emotion later, we can remember it as, oh, that's the way I feel when I hear the 5-1 resolution. All right? Have fun. See you soon.